And again, welcome to Strategies for Smart Beginnings, Promoting Healthy Development. We have 3 presenters today. I'm excited that all 3 have generously taken their time and brought this information to share with their peers. We have Allison Noble from Smart Beginnings Hopewell and Crater. We have Sarah Brenner and Trudy Knapp from Smart Beginnings Rappahannock area, and we have Bucky Boone from the Southwest region. We're going to start our presentations this morning with the first presentation by Allison Noble regarding the strategy of developmental, expanding access to developmental screening in communities. So Allison, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thanks, Dora. Good morning. I hope everyone can hear me okay. As Dora said, we're going to be talking a little bit about the ASQ program that we have implemented in Hopewell, Prince George, and the Crater area. So we can get started.
My apologies,
All right,
Allison.
Oh, no problem. A little bit about Smart Beginnings, Hopewell, Prince George, and Crater. Both of our coalitions were formed in 2009, and then we started doing a lot of collaborations together in 2012. We cover Hopewell, Prince George, Sussex, Surrey, Dinwiddie, Emporia, and Greensville. So it's kind of a lower swath of Virginia if you take the 95 directly south from Richmond. It's mostly those areas that lie around the 95 south. Our fiscal agent is the Appomattox Regional Library. They house us, they give us office space, and a lot of other in-kind items. They've been Katie's fiscal agent since 2010, I would say, and then I came on, and we now both have them as a fiscal agent beginning in 2013. We are currently in the process of applying for 501c3 status. This was because we have a funder that made a policy that they would no longer fund any organizations that did not have their 501c3. We don't anticipate that it's going to change a lot of our day-to-day operations, but we needed that tax-exempt status to continue getting funding from them, and they were a major funder for us. So our LACs decided that it was something that we should go ahead and do. So there's 3 main staff people at Hopewell, Prince George, and Crater. The coordinator currently for Hopewell, Prince George is Katie Sloan. Some of you may have heard that her son was in an accident, very serious, and so she's going to be stepping back to part-time. Then I am the coalition coordinator for Smart Beginnings Crater. And then there's Greta Morris, and she is our VSQI coordinator. She covers Hopewell, Prince George, all of my Crater regions, and also the Southside regions of Brunswick, Halifax, and Mecklenburg. Okay, so I don't know how familiar everyone on this call is with the Ages and Stages questionnaire or the ASQ. We may have a little bit of a mix, so I'll just do a very brief overview on the Ages and Stages. It's a developmental screening tool designed to find early developmental and social and emotional delays. It's a survey. We like to have the parents do them, but child care providers that are with the children very, very often can also complete the screening survey. They're broken down to very specific ages. You know, when it's infants, I think it's every 2 to 4 months, and then it kind of grows until it's about every 6 months when the child nears the age of 5. We focus on birth to 3, but the tool can be done up to 5 years old. What Smart Beginnings Hopewell Prince George Crater does is we train providers and community partners on how to use the tool effectively. We also provide the questionnaires. We buy them for them. So currently we're using the tool in almost all of our VSQI child care centers. 3 departments of social services, all of their child care workers have gotten trained. So if a foster child comes in or a CPS call, they are doing ASQs on the children. James Domestic Violence Shelter is also doing them. So whenever a child comes into the shelter, an ASQ is going to be done. We have a very large doctor's office kind of chain I will use. There's 3 of them in our area, and they're one of our largest partners. I think last year they screened over 1,700 children, which is huge in our area. And also our home visiting partners use the tool. Healthy Families in Hopewell Prince George, they provide ASQ for all of the children in their program, and Parents as Teachers, which covers Emporia, Greensville, and Sussex. They provide an ASQ screening for all of the children that are in those programs. Recently, we added an ASQ navigator to promote the use of the tool and to collect data. What we were finding is we would train mostly we had issues in child care centers because they're so overwhelmed and so busy, but we would train them on the ASQ, we would provide them the tool, they were super excited, and then just day-to-day activities would get in the way, and they would forget to pull it because you're supposed to do it every certain amount of months, and they just weren't screening as often, and they weren't reporting the data to us as often as we needed it. And so we have used Cameron Foundation funds and I think some John Randolph funds as well to hire this ASQ navigator, and I think we go into the breakdown later in the slideshow. So our desired result really was to increase the number of children screened for developmental delays before they enter kindergarten. We really want to catch kids before they get to kindergarten and they're already behind. So we wanted to increase the use of the tool in the Hopewell, Prince George, Sussex, and Dinwiddie Departments of Social Services. They see many high-risk children and families. So we thought they would maybe a good access point to reach high-risk children and their families. We also wanted to increase the use of the tool in the healthcare sector. Young children go to a lot of doctor's appointments, and we were hoping that if we could kind of, infiltrate one of the largest healthcare providers, that we would get a lot of children screened that way. And then we also wanted to increase the monitoring of data through the use of the enterprise system with our community partners. This we're currently in the process of doing. We were keeping all the data just in our own spreadsheets and just having the centers email or verbally tell us the numbers over the phone, and it was just getting so overwhelming now that we've grown with so many partners that we just could not keep up with that kind of data entry. So we are in the process of purchasing the enterprise system, which is Brooks Publishing, the people who make the Ages and Stages questionnaire. They have a data collection program that the centers can get a number for, and they can enter in their own data, and it all collects into one database. So we don't really have a specific committee that is heading this effort, but we do have quarterly ASQ lunch meetings of our community partners, and as I said before, this includes DSS, and healthcare rep, child care directors, our staff, and our contract ASQ navigator. And we get together quarterly and have a lunch, and we kind of talk about the struggles with using the ASQ, what's been going well, what we could do better to help them provide the ASQ to their children. We talk about data collection, the trends that we're seeing in the data, and generally just try to support them in any way that we can so they'll continue providing the screening. Our progress is also monitored by both of our LACs. They find the ASQ and finding early developmental delays very important to our mission, and so they also monitor our process. So some of the activities that we're doing to help this implementation of the ASQ in our community is that we held trainings multiple times a year, and we try to do them for specific groups. When we were training our DSS partners, we held trainings just for DSS. We actually were able to get the Hopewell and the Prince George DSSs to have a training together, and then the Dinwiddie and Sussex training. You know, it's the same tool, but you know, the way that the provider is going to use it is going to be different dependent on what kind of organization you are. So we thought it was important for the DSS to have their own training. And then we also provide training specifically for child care providers, because the way that they're going to use the tool, seeing the children every day, is going to be different. As I said, we have the quarterly lunches. We also are sending this ASQ Navigator into the centers monthly to ensure that they're using the tool correctly and to answer any questions and to help with referrals. Referrals have become, you know, a minor issue in our area. Our local Community Service Board, District 19, is very busy, and they get a lot of referrals, and sometimes they don't always call people back right away, and it kind of can sometimes be difficult for busy child care providers to navigate that system, or for parents that don't have a lot of resources to navigate that system. So our ASQ Navigator is helping with referrals, and as we said, she's also going to help with the collection of data. And then we also have monthly meetings between our staff and the ASQ Navigator, just to kind of get a feel of, you know, what's happening out in the community, and how we can support her and how we can help the community out with ASQ. These are some other places that we go to try to find a large concentration of young children. The Prince George actually took the lead on this, Prince George DSS, and she said, you know, I just want to screen a ton of young children. She goes, I'm going to write a grant, and I'm going to get some money, and we're going to have a Prince George toddler fair. So this was totally the director of DSS in Prince George, her idea to increase the screenings of ASQs. We're going to be doing ASQ screening. We're going to be doing audio and vision and hearing screenings, but we're also going to try to make it fun and have a draw. We're going to have a petting zoo. We're going to have face painters, balloon men. The fire department's going to be there doing car seat checks and all of that. So we're hoping this is a new event for us. So we're hoping that that's going to be a good place for us to screen a whole lot of young children. We also go to the Dinwiddie Health Fair, which is a very popular fair in our area. You know, I think last year they had over 1,500 attendants. So we screen young children for ASQ there too. Tools and materials, you know, we don't really use anything special. We use the ASQ questionnaires from Brooks Publishing. You know, we try to buy at least one kit for each center, and you're allowed to photocopy up to a certain amount once you own that kit and it's in your center. But, you know, we couldn't just buy one kit and distribute it to everyone. That's not how it works. And then I also said that we're using this enterprise data system, which is an online database to help manage all of the data that you get from providing these ASQ surveys. So resources. Really, this doesn't cost a whole lot for us to run. This year, we have $7,000 budgeted for ASQ. This is paying for our contract ASQ Navigator. Currently, right now, she's working about 10 hours per week at about $20 an hour. So some of that is going towards her. This also goes towards the online data collection tool. That is $500 initially to purchase, and then there's also a monthly management fee to keep that online portal open. This also includes purchasing some additional ASQ kits, and it also includes the ASQ trainings, which they don't really cost anything because we have been trained to be a trainer through Project Seed, but we do provide food or lunch or whatever, so we can get people to come to that. Largely the funds are provided by the Cameron Foundation and the John Randolph Foundation. And as I said, we took advantage of the Project Seed opportunities They gave each of our coalitions an additional ASQ kit, and we also sent some of our staff and our mentors to the trainings. So this is just some of the results that we have gotten from increasing this ASQ effort in our area. We've developed a reciprocal relationship with District 19 CSB, which streamlines the referrals from children birth to 3. We've really been working hard with them because, we want to make sure that if we're making a huge effort to find children with developmental delays, then we want to make sure that after we find them, that they're getting the help that they need. As I said before, we're having a large increased interest from our DSS leaders. They wrote into their own budget grants to expand the usage of ASQ in our community, including the toddler fair. This was a big one. Head Start has asked us to train all of their teachers and staff on the ASQ and the ASQ SE. I don't know if this is something new, but they said that their Head Start director said that they need to start screening all of their children with a social and emotional tools, because currently they use Vergance, but that doesn't really get into the social and emotional piece. So they have asked us to train all of their staff to use the ASQ and the ASQ SE. So soon all Head Start children in our area, which is a large percentage of our young children, will be screened using the ASQ and the ASQ SE. And then we also have seen an increased usage of the ASQ in private child care settings, and that's increased even further through the use of this ASQ Navigator, which is supporting them. So these are just some of our results from 2014 continued. We now have over 50 providers trained to use the ASQ, and that's from DSS to child care to doctor's offices. Last year we had over 1,700 children screened between all of those providers. These are some of the lessons that we learned. Collecting data can be very difficult. That's why we hired the ASQ Navigator, and also why we're implementing that enterprise data collection system. Communications about referrals should not be underestimated. If you're having all these people doing ASQs and finding, maybe some red flags, you definitely need to make sure that your referral process is clear and what should happen next after you find those children. Follow through with the child care centers can be challenging. As I talked about before, they're so busy with day-to-day activities that sometimes they just forget to pull that ASQ. This is what we've talked about, barriers with the CSB, since they're extremely overloaded and understaffed. We're just always working with them. They're very cooperative. They're just extremely busy. But on the positive side, all of our partners have benefited through higher levels of understanding of developmental milestones. The great thing about the ASQ is that it really teaches the user about developmental milestones.
Thank you so much, Allison.
Thank you.
We're going to pause now for just a moment as I unmute participants, and we'll have a brief question and answers. And Allison, one question that has already come is, could you let everyone know what LAC stands for?
LAC is our Leadership Advisory Council. Since right now we currently aren't a 501c3, we are guided by voluntary advisory councils, which comprise of leaders from our community. So it's pretty much like a board, only we can't call it a board because right now we are not a 501c3.
Thank you, Allison. All right, let's see. I have almost all lines unmuted, so if you have a question for Allison, you can feel free to ask. Okay, I'm getting an echo. Let's see. I'm going to have to mute all. Okay. I'm sorry, somewhere along the line, somewhere with, I couldn't tell exactly where it was, I began to get that echo. If you have a question, please type it in your question box at the bottom of your toolbar. It's just not working to unmute everyone. I'm going to give it just a moment, so if you have a question, we can take that now. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on with the next presentation. And thank you again, Allison. I really appreciate it. Lots of good information. The recording and the PowerPoint slides will be available after the presentation. Hold on, I do have one question that just came by. Hold on here. Capacity of the intervention agencies to handle increased load. Allison, you had mentioned a bit about your Part C providers getting a lot of referrals and how your navigator has helped with that. Do you have anything else to add to that about how they're handling? Has there been a great increase in referrals, and how are they handling that? Allison? Allison?
I'm
I just got.
I was still muted.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, pretty much what the navigator is helping people understand is that if the child is a certain age, I think 2 and over, they can be referred to the local school system. And then if they're under a certain age, 2 and under, they need to go to their local community service board. So that has helped a lot because a lot of people were just contacting District 19 when they could be served by the school system. So the navigator has kind of helped divert people where they need to go. And then, yeah, so we have seen an increase in referrals, but the navigator is kind of helping to channel those to the correct places.
Okay, great. Now, the other question we have is, I'm wondering about the purpose of having the enterprise system. What data will Smart Beginnings collect, and does it put you in a position of having to make referrals?
No, it doesn't put us in the position to make referrals. The reason why we really want it is it's like an online portal. So all of our providers will get a code, and they'll be able to enter into the portal, and then they can enter their own data directly into the database. So it will alleviate the need for us to have to go to all of the centers and collect their data and put it into our own spreadsheet. They will be able to upload their data all into one place directly onto this online database. And so it will collect all of the number of children screened, the number of delays, the number of referrals, and that will all be uploaded into one place and kind of just collected for us instead of us having to manually do it.
Great. Any additional questions? I'm not seeing anything yet. Let's give it a moment. I understand that some of you are having some difficulty hearing me. I'm not sure how to resolve that, and thankfully I'm not going to be doing a lot of speaking, and so we'll go ahead and just move on with the next presentation. I'm happy to introduce Sarah Branner. Sarah, let me unmute you. Sarah Branner and Trudy Knapp to give you their strategy around evidence-based social-emotional curriculum. Sarah?
Yes, thank you, Dora, and good morning, everyone. We're excited to be here today with you. And at the next slide, you will see a little bit about who Smart Beginnings Rappahannock area is. Smart Beginnings began as a Success by Six program through the United Way, and it had a focus on early literacy, and that was in 2001. We did grow into a regional coalition in 2006, and by 2008 we adopted the name Smart Beginnings Rappahannock Area, at that time going through some of the initial grants through VECF. We do serve the city of Fredericksburg and the counties of Caroline, King George, Spotsylvania, and Stafford. And in addition, as the physical agent for the North Central region, we do work with Culpeper, Fauquier, and Rappahannock counties. In December in 2010, we did take the initiative to become a 501c3 nonprofit, so we broke away from the United Way, and so far have been successfully working as a nonprofit. In the next slide, you can see that Smart Beginnings Rappahannock area does have 6 part-time employees, and you can kind of see how we work those part-time employees with hours. The executive director, myself, having 35 hours per week, and then as the physical agent, we have a VSQI regional coordinator with 35 hours per week, and then a support VSQI program specialist to assist at 22 hours. Trudy comes in as our ALS PALS program specialist at 10 hours per week. Because of a 501c3 status and all of the work that goes with the financial part of that, we do have a director of finance that gives us 15 hours per week. And we also brought on this year an administrative specialist who really does help us with our Passport to Kindergarten program and any other kind of grant writing and stuff as a support person. In the next slide, you're going to hear from Trudy in just a few moments about ALS PALS, Kids Making Healthy Choices. This was really the first program started by Smart Beginnings Rappahannock area in 2010. It was a result of the community needs assessment as they were planning for their first VECF grant, and it was further explored by the Children's Health Committee. So we are reaching approximately 30% of rising kindergartners in our region through the ALS PALS program. And I'm excited to turn it over to Trudy, who's going to tell you some great things about this program. Trudy?
Hello, everybody. My name is Trudy Knapp. I have been the ALS PALS specialist here for Smart Beginnings Rappahannock for almost 2 years, and I'm happy to be here today. So our highlighted strategy here in Rappahannock is to provide a resiliency-based early childhood curriculum and teacher training program that develops personal, social, and emotional skills in children 3 to 8 years old. Now, Wingspan, the company that developed ALS PALS, promote the curriculum from ages 3 to 8. We here only use it in our 3- and 4-year-old classrooms. We also it's really important to us to encourage the parents to extend healthy choices through the curriculum materials that their child brings home. And a little bit further on in the presentation, you'll be able to see some examples of those materials. So ALS PALS, in layman's terms, is we want children to get along when they're out of their home environment, particularly as they transition from home to school. There's some big adjustments there, and many of them can struggle. ALS PALS also helps children manage their feelings by using puppets, and they're able to label their feelings so that they can recognize and feel frustrations, disappointments, angers, happiness, all of those things that oftentimes children that are just learning language have a hard time expressing. We want them to think independently. We don't want them to react to peer pressure, as so many of them feel the need to do. And mostly also, we want them to make safe and healthy choices in and out of the school environment. Very simply, we want to create kinder, gentler classrooms where there is less aggression and more cooperation and caring. Oftentimes, when we get groups of our local educators, our early years educators together for trainings and events, a hot topic is always the management of behavior in the classroom and how they want to create a peaceful learning environment. And the ALS PALS curriculum definitely gives them some strategies that will help them with this. The types of questions that we're asking these educators about the children in their care are your children able to share toys and materials? Do they use effective communication skills? Can they demonstrate self-control, work in small groups? And how do they solve problems? Do they use their words, actions? How do they go about all of these things in your classroom on a day-to-day basis? So the way that we organize things here in the Smart Beginnings Rappahannock area, I take the lead in terms of the coordination of the program. recruit the teachers and do the lesson observations, provide them with materials they may need. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. Sarah Browner, who you've already heard from, our executive director here, oversees everything that I do. The grant writing, she also does most of that and helps me report to the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth, which we do on a quarterly basis. I'm going to talk a little bit more about our funding in a little while. Again, our Director of Finance, Mary Podlesny, keeps us on track and provides us with the financial reporting that is necessary for our grant. As you can see, we were able to create a very snazzy brochure with some reallocated grant funds from the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth. This is the brochure that we use for our recruitment. I think there's a couple more slides showing you the brochure that we created, and it's been really successful for recruiting, for mailing, mass mailing, and for when we do fairs and events in our community. Thankfully, ALS PALS has been a really easy sell in our community so far. Teachers have been very, very willing to try something new to enhance the behavioral and social piece in their classroom. Once the centres and the classrooms have been recruited, the teachers receive 2 full days of training. We offer those trainings twice a year to give some flexibility in attendance, because finding substitutes can be hard in some of the centres, so we give them 2 choices for the training. We provide each new classroom with an ALS PALS kit, which provides everything they need in terms of the curriculum, extra materials, song sheets, music, everything that they could need to complete the curriculum successfully. Before the teachers start their curriculum, we ask that they complete some pre-data. I will be showing you an example of this in a little while. They then start the curriculum. I go and visit them a couple of times within that school year, and at the end of the school year, about May time frame, they complete the post-data. They answer the same questions on their children that they did back in October, and we look at the changes and hopefully the progress that has been made. Finally, we provide all new participants in the ALS PALS program with some cute little incentives to celebrate their achievements throughout the year in this resiliency-based program. This is a picture of one of our early educators on the training that we held this past calendar year, practicing the scripts. Initially, the teachers are a little bit wary of using the puppets and reading from the scripts, but they soon get the hang of it, and the children absolutely, their response is fantastic. So, like I said earlier, ALS PALS is offered from 3 to 8 years. That's who the curriculum is designed for. We use it for the 3s and the 4s. It's broken down into 2 10-minute lessons twice a week. If you could move the slide on, Dora, that would be fantastic. Thank you. 2 10-minute lessons twice a week is a very small commitment on the part of the teachers. Oftentimes, they will do it during their circle time. ALS PALS can be used throughout the curriculum. There are many optional extension activities provided that the teacher can use in other areas of the day. This is one of our new teachers this year. So if you move on to the next slide, you will see that all aspects of the curriculum are shared with parents through letters that go home. This creates a great talking point between the parents and the children, and also encourages the parents to extend the activity in the learning. And the next slide shows an example of the pre- and the post-data sheets that the teachers complete. We ask that the teachers at least have the children in their care for about 4 weeks before they complete the data, so that they have a good picture of that individual child. ALS Place is a place that each teacher that takes on the curriculum creates in their classroom. It's a place where the children can go and calm down and think, and teachers have reported that this is really successful. Oftentimes at the beginning they're a little bit dubious about creating that freedom for the children to kind of move to a place and come back and be responsible for their own actions, but we've been very, very pleased with the responses that we've received. In terms of how this works for us financially, we have secured a grant from the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth of $180,000 over 3 years. We're thrilled that we had just found out that we've also secured a repeat of that grant, another $180,000 through the years 2018. So the grant covers the personnel, myself, Sarah, and Mary, our finance lady. It covers the cost of the consultants from Wingspan that come up from Richmond to complete our trainings for us. We have an allowance for mileage for the observations and for the conferences that we attend. The kits are provided for every new classroom that we take on. We took on 15 new rooms this year and last year and 20 the year before. We also have an allowance for indirect costs, which is our office space, which we are in the old hospital up in Fredericksburg City. We're also lucky enough to have several institutions in the area that provide us with free rental space for our trainings. So that definitely has been a bonus for us. So we found that last year the children that received the ALS-PALS curriculum did show a statistically significant improvement in pro-social and behavior skills as measured by the scales. So if you look to the next slide, you can see that in more detail. This particular slide shows children that showed the biggest changes, and those were the ones that were struggling in the pre-data, those that had a more difficult time getting on with their peers and settling into the early years preschool environment. So you can see that almost 30% increase in some of those children. So that was really an amazing result for us and for those teachers. So I know that their classrooms were a lot calmer as a result of this curriculum. As you can see on the next slide, it shows our growth in this area. Back in 2010 when we started, we had 21 classrooms. Now we're up to 107 classrooms that have been through the ALS-PALS curriculum. And that is actually on the next slide over 3,000 children that have been through the ALS-PALS curriculum in Smart Beginnings Rappahannock area. You can see the breakdown of profit, not-for-profit, which includes our faith-based classrooms, and our growth throughout the five-county area. Some of the problems that we have encountered, with the results have been consistently good with the data that has been provided. Staff turnover is a huge problem in some of the early learning centers in this area, and I think from what I've heard in all areas, oftentimes we will invest a huge amount of money training our teachers for the ALS-PALS curriculum, only for them to move on, change centers, or they'll move into a different field. We have been lucky that we've been able to offer additional online training for new teachers. Also had directors that have been very, very helpful in combining classes so that children can still benefit from the curriculum. All of the data is completed on the computer, and again, we've had some issues with teachers not having the technology to do that in their classrooms. So it's been very nice that I've been able to collect the data, pen and pen data from the teachers and enter it. So that has been a very big advantage of having somebody assigned just for the ALS-PALS program alone. Other than that, things have been going very smoothly. We're very excited about our new 3 years, and we've actually, I've got an extra hour. My hours have increased by 10% to accommodate the increasing numbers that we've received. So I'm just going to go back over to Sarah to finish up. Thank you.
Thank you, Trudy. And just to kind of culminate this, having done this program now for around 5 years, we know as we move into the next 3 years with the grant, we do want to look at the impact of ALS-PALS and what are the results past preschool and into the early elementary grades. So we know that partnership that we have with the school division is going to be increasingly important to us as we just try to see what results through the social emotional progress of students that have been impacted by this. On the last slide, we really do feel, you'll see the picture of the young girl, we really do feel that ALS-PALS has been a great investment of time and grant money for our region, and we know that several other coalitions are going to begin using ALS-PALS too in the upcoming years. Thank you so much for letting us share this.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. We really appreciate both you and Trudy taking time to bring this information about the strategy to partners that are on the call. I invite everyone again. I'm not going to try to unmute because we're running into that feedback, but please type any questions that you have at this point, and I'll pose those. We'll give you just a few minutes for that, and I'll pose those to Sarah and Trudy. Give it just another moment because I know it takes a little bit of time to type questions in. Here we go. Does Wingspan have any stats on following children through elementary years? And this is from Julie in Rappahannock.
Are you saying, does Wingspan have any data following children?
That's right, through elementary years.
We are actually looking into that. We, at this time, do not know the answer to that question because we're curious to find that out ourselves.
Thanks, Sarah. Any other questions? All right. Thank you so much, Sarah and Trudy. I really appreciate your presentation, and I'm now going to go ahead and unmute Bucky Boone from Southwest Virginia. Oops, sorry, Bucky, I'm going to take the slide back to the beginning. So, Bucky, if you want to go ahead and get started.
All right, thank you, Dora. The project that I'm going to describe began here in Southwest Virginia last summer, and I'll start by telling you a little bit about Smart Beginning in Southwest Virginia. We were established in 2013 as a regional initiative, and we serve all those counties you see, basically all of Southwest Virginia west of the New River Valley. Our fiscal agent, who's been very supportive, is United Way of Southwest Virginia. Our initiative is a partnership among four leadership councils, one regional leadership council and four local leadership councils and one that has at 5. And we're a partnership among 3 local coordinators and myself. The local coordinators are Yuba Havens, who serves Smart Beginnings Twin County and Smart Beginnings with Glen Caswell. Danielle Starn serves Smart Beginnings Virginia Highlands, and Janet Owen serves Smart Beginnings Appalachian Region, which is the far southwest area. The strategy that we're working on, what we want to do is increase the number of families in Southwest Virginia who participate in WIC, Women, Infants, and Children. This project really started with the data. Smart Beginnings leadership councils were convinced of the importance of this project when they discovered the following statistics. Over the last 5 years, while families struggled through the recession, WIC enrollment actually decreased in our region. It dropped 16.6% in the Cumberland Plateau Health District, 7.8% in Winnewisco, and a dramatic 19.5% in Mount Rogers Health District. I will say we were not alone in this. Virginia's total WIC enrollment decreased by 11.2% over the same time period. And studies have shown that too many families go unserved. The most recent study on a national level indicates that 17% of eligible pregnant women are not enrolled. Also, the federal government does an estimate by health district of the unserved families. They do this actually on a monthly basis. In 2013, 30% of the families in Cumberland Plateau were estimated to be unserved, 25% in Lenawisco, and some counties in Mount Rogers had unserved rates as high as 30%. We brought together a planning committee to discuss this, and I'll talk about that later. But in terms of our desired result, early on, we set our goal to increase the number of families in Southwest Virginia who take advantage of the services of WIC. And under that, we had two objectives. First, to increase the number of families who newly enroll in WIC by two pieces to that, by supporting health department outreach and through targeted public awareness and education. And the second objective was to increase the length of time families remain in the WIC program. When we had first discussed this, we learned that many families leave the program when their child is quite young. Many leave after their child has stopped taking formula. Taking the lead, we formed a WIC planning committee that is composed of WIC coordinators from all 3 health districts, nurse managers from all 3 health districts, all of our Smart Beginnings coordinators, extension agent, Feeding America, which is the regional food bank, local DSS director, Head Start, a grocery chain, Food City, and our state WIC office has been participating in this committee. To start this project, we started with the why WIC is important. The first why, actually, is the data that I just discussed that shows the decrease in the enrollment. And we've added to the why, which is the research that shows how important WIC is in improving the health and well-being of children. And I just want to go over some of the research, and I'll do this very quickly, but you can go back and look at this if you want to. Scientific research has shown that WIC leads to healthier birth outcomes. It improves children's nutrition. It promotes breastfeeding. It improves health care, both of the baby and of the mother, the pregnant woman and the mother. It improves the health, as I said, of mothers, and especially relevant to Smart Beginnings, WIC children have been shown to be better prepared for school. Children who receive WIC benefits have demonstrated improved intellectual development. That website there has all the material I just told you if you want to go and print that off for yourself. We used this information to both recruit people for our committee and our partners in this project. We got started by contacting the health district directors, and I asked them to suggest staff to join us to work on this project. And the health district directors, I think, were instrumental in getting us off to a successful start. They suggested staff to be on this committee, but they didn't just suggest them. When they emailed me their suggestions, they copied their staff. To me, that freed up the staff to feel comfortable being part of this. Those directors attended the first meeting of the committee and voiced strong support for this campaign. Our committee spent much of our first 2 meetings discussing barriers to participation. We learned that some of the best aspects of WIC also are creating the barriers to participation. The requirement to attend clinics is really a great part of the program for the health of the child and the parent, but it's a hassle for stressed parents to have to get there. The requirement to purchase healthy foods is important, but it also lessens the value of the WIC for families when they're comparing it to the food stamp program. We also discovered that the WIC card is an opportunity to promote the program because it's so much better for families than the old voucher system. People reported how embarrassed families were in grocery stores using the vouchers and having a line of people wait for them to clear up problems. This card, it acts like a credit card and is going to be so much better for families. The committee has developed a plan to encourage families to remain in the WIC program. WIC, the health department, is planning to hold clinics at Head Start centers. Our Smart Beginnings coordinators are helping them connect with Head Start programs throughout the region. We applied to a local foundation to offer books to children when they visited the clinics. We felt like this would be a really good way to encourage retention. Unfortunately, our application was unsuccessful. We're going to start looking for other ways to do that. To encourage families to enroll in a public campaign, we asked radio and TV stations to run public service announcements throughout the region. Again, the health district directors were very helpful with that. They both signed a cover letter to the radio and TV stations asking them to do that. To encourage families through a targeted campaign, we wanted to try to reach low-income families with children. So we've chosen 3 venues: food pantries with the partnership of Feeding America, the large food bank, departments of social services, and child care and child development programs. We're asking those partners to become ambassadors for WIC. We've already met with the Department of Social Service directors, and they've been very positive about going back to their staff to encourage WIC referrals. Okay, Dora. The health department also began expanding their own outreach. They've increased visibility at health fairs and other places where low-income families gather. And they're reporting on their outreach efforts at each of our meetings. I feel like this is really good because it's, you attend to what you want to happen, and I think their reporting is a good way for us to cheerlead their efforts. Tools that we've used. Michael Welch from the WIC office, state WIC office, sent us some PSAs to review. The committee looked at the first ones he sent, and everybody agreed we just really didn't like them. So I called him back, and he sent us some others, and we really liked these. And I want to show you one. Dora, if you can get this up. And the one I want to show you, and I hope that it'll play, is, maybe it's not going to work. Dora, you want to just give up on that? Well, later after this webinar, you can go to this site, and Michael Welch has said he's happy for anyone to use these PSAs, so that if you want to send them out, you're welcome to do that too. Another tool we used, if you want to move on, Dora, the WIC nurses, when we first discussed this, reported that they really didn't have a brochure that they were comfortable with to recruit parents. They have brochures about what you should eat and health care items, but they really didn't have a recruitment brochure. So the committee designed their own brochure, and we turned it into a bookmark size card with a very simple message. On one side, you can see it here, and on the other side, we tried to put just the very basic information so that a person at the Department of Social Services at a food pantry could give this to a family, and that would encourage them to sign up, but also give them the information of how to contact their local WIC office. We've printed these in 5 different printings so we wouldn't have to put all the phone numbers on there. The WIC office has really been a great partner in this, and I would encourage you to work with Michael Welch too if you're interested in promoting WIC. They sent a staff member to one of our first meetings to explain their Head Start project, and she continues to meet with us by phone at all of our meetings. Michael Welch sent us those PSAs that I tried to show you, but I think they really are good. They agreed to pay for the printing of our bookmarks, which has really been helpful. And we've been discussing printing a poster that mirrors the message of the bookmark. In fact, earlier this morning I sent them a first draft of one and got ideas and replies from the 3 staff there that are working with us on this, and they seem real excited about being able to use the poster. And I was really impressed that they listened to our suggestions for their own website. We did put their website on our bookmark, but when I went to it, I was concerned that it didn't have any information about how to reach your own WIC office. And when I mentioned this to Michael, within a week and a half, they had that function up on their website with all contact information for WIC offices throughout the state. And they've provided grants to the health districts, each of our health districts, for outreach for this year that I think are going to be very, very helpful. Results. We've made good friends. People see, I think, how Smart Beginnings can bring people together to make things happen. Agencies across the region outside of the committee have started to sign on to the project. Even though we're just getting started, they are being very positive with this. And I think focusing on the why has been very helpful with this. When people see that WIC, the research on WIC shows that it's really making a difference in the health of children and their readiness for school, I think that inspires them to become involved. We don't expect to see measurable results for at least 6 months, but I will tell you that the WIC State Office maintains monthly enrollment records by county, and so we expect to be able to show that what we're doing is making a difference, and at least we'll be able to show the statistics, and hopefully that we'll show that they turn around. Lessons learned. I feel like we've learned that in collaborative efforts, leadership from the top can really make a difference. The health district directors have set a tone for this project with their staff, but in the community. And DSS directors have shown and talked about how they, as the director, can go back to their agencies and lead their staff. And we're finding ways to connect with organizations on a regional basis for regional projects. For example, the food bank is going to let us come to their region-wide meeting to talk to all the food pantries in the whole region, and this is going to be a lot more efficient than trying to go meet with 40 different food pantries. And all of you all know this last one, but it's easier to find people to plan. The work still has to be done. I'm really excited about this project, and one of the things I'm most excited about is that we do have data that we can use to see whether this project is working. Thank you.
My apology, I lost the organizers panel for a bit. Again, if you have questions, and since this is a final presentation, I'm going to try once again to unmute all of you. So bear with me as we do that. It takes just a moment. Barbara, you're on mute. We're getting feedback again. Are you hearing that? Or is mine just the only one hearing it? All right, most everyone is unmuted. Let's see how this goes for just a moment. Any questions? If not, I'm going to have to mute again. My apology. All right, I see some questions being typed. My apology for the echoes for every time we try to do this. I'll have to explore what that might be causing that. Let me get my question panel back up. I just lost it. Thanks for your patience as I try to find this again. I've lost my question panel. I saw a question about whether the PowerPoint will be available. Yes, it will be. As I mentioned, we are recording, and the PowerPoint slides are already saved to SharePoint. And I will email out that link. Smart Beginnings coordinators have access to SharePoint. So for those of you in the community who don't have access, please contact your local Smart Beginnings coordinator to ask for that. It is a large presentation, too large to send out by email. But the recording link I will be able to send out by email. So I will be sharing that with everyone. Okay. All right. I want to thank everyone for participating today. Thank you to the panelists for great presentations. And thank you for your patience as we deal with technology and learn how to use this technology most effectively for all of us. I want to thank you. There'll be another presentation, a webinar in March, on March 5th, about strategies about strengthening families. You'll be receiving an invitation to that over the next few weeks. So thanks again to Allison, Bucky, and Sarah, and Trudy for great presentations and great information today. I want to thank everyone and have a good day.
Thanks, Dora.
You're welcome.